The PL Show is brought to you by Kel Charcoal, Kel 360, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. It's the first day of the last month of the year 2024. It tells you that we are just about, 6 days away from election 2024. The countdown started from 100. We are now at just 6 days to election. And you see where I'm going when I'm talking about election, because my guest for today is well vexed in the area of security, peace building, everything related to where we are going when it comes to election 2024. She's a woman of many parts, I should say. A lot of passion, a lot of zeal, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of wisdom when it comes to peace and security in this country, all the way to the international level. And my guest for today is the Executive Director of the West African Network for Peace Building, one of the few females when it comes to security analysts, amongst others, in this country. Mrs. Levinia Addae-Mensah is my guest for today. You want to stay as we delve deep into everything she has been, what she is, and what she's going to be. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is the Kel Toothpaste PL Show.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I want fat missy way.
Me pacho bantama.
Matias.
It's her smile.
The fresh breath.
Me jidi say we use Kel 360 toothpaste. Some me kai.
Kel 360 toothpaste.
Gaskia, Kel 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector.
Onim jom kasa.
Kile ko saying. Kel 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
Hey, you will see so feeling when you know Kel 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Kel 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to the PL Show, made possible by Kel 360, Kel Charcoal, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. With Kel is always a happy smile. And it's an election week as we speak. We are starting it all off. And of course, you've seen my guest, Levinia Addae-Mensah, no stranger when it comes to peace and security in this country. She's the Executive Director for the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEAP. Welcome once again, Mrs. Levinia Addae-Mensah. We are grateful to have you here on the PL Show.
Thank you very much, Emefa.
It's always good to see you when we have to talk about peace, security, and today we get to delve deeper into your life as well, and that's the part that excites me the most. So you're welcome once again.
Thank you.
Since we're starting the election week, I want us to do the bottom-up approach.
Right.
Yes. So let's talk about elections. So far, are we ready? Would you say is the final lap? I think we are just in the week. What would you say is our preparedness in terms of where you sit when it comes to peace and security?
You know, in elections, I always say that you can never be too prepared. And that's because the factors that are involved, particularly when we are thinking or we're worried about the threats of violence, the factors involved are varied. And so very little things can even trigger major incidents, and affect significantly the electoral process. But as far as I'm concerned, we've done quite a lot in terms of trying to build different scenarios of possible incidents of violence, and therefore, we've been engaging WANEAP and many other, institutions I'm aware of have been engaging for at least, I would say, a good part of about 6 to 8 months in trying to look at various scenarios and what to do in those scenarios. One of the things that I am happy to talk about is, the National Election Response Group, which has been set up since the beginning of the year. This is with funding from the European Union, being led by WANEAP in partnership with ECOWAS and UNOWAS. And at the Ghana level, it's being fronted by the National Peace Council, working with various stakeholders from civil society as well as other government agencies, including even the EC, the NCCE, the National Media Commission, and Ghana Journalists Association. These are all entities that are part of the National Election Response Group. Based on these kinds of relationships that have been built to help activate rapid response, I am, inclined to say that our level of preparedness is quite good.
Okay.
And
so we can't be too prepared, but from where you sit,
Yes.
satisfactorily, we are prepared.
Yes.
Okay. Many a times when people hear and interact with you on different level, when you hear and talk the hardcore peace and security, one wonders how a woman really is so interested in matters of peace, security, not just at the national level, international level, and worldwide, I should say. Really, what moved you or what pushed you to that sector?
I have to say that, frankly speaking, growing up, I never saw myself in this field. It wasn't in any of the options I was considering. To be very honest, I was quite clear in my mind. From the time I can recall being aware of my existence, I had said I was going to be a medical doctor.
I knew I was going to be a doctor.
That was what I was gearing towards. But unfortunately, as life would have it, during my O levels, I was confident about my science subjects, and but the results came out, and one of the subjects I hadn't done well. I had to then detour into the arts and social sciences. Luckily for me, when I was doing my O levels, I took on extra subjects.
Okay.
So I had 2 extra subjects, being French and geography, because really they were just out of passion. I had a lot of passion for them, and I felt it didn't require extra effort from me. So that held me in 6th form to do geography, French, and then I could add economics. At this point, I no longer knew what I was going to become. I was just going through the motions. Now my focus was on, get some job and get money. That was my focus until I went through the University of Ghana, with again French, geography.
Where was the O level and A level done?
So my O levels, I was out of Ghana. My parents were then in the Gambia.
Oh, okay.
So I schooled in the Gambia, and then 6th form I came to Achimota School.
Okay.
Yeah, so I finished.
To hear that the Accra's
Yes, Accra 87. That's where I belong.
I see.
So I finished Achimota School, and then went on to Legon. Finished Legon. Still had no idea what I was going to do. So for my national service, some of my mates had said, "Oh, Ministry of Finance is a good place to go," and my focus at that point was money. So I was like, "Oh yeah, Ministry of Finance."
That's all Piscapa.
Me Pesicapa. Yeah, na pinso me kunu susan ye kweni. Nse si amagikre finance. But so
I got Ministry of Finance.
Well, I didn't. I wanted the Ministry of Finance for my national service. Did everything I could do. It came out I had been posted to the Foreign Ministry. The Foreign Ministry just could be anyhow.
That's a one diploma.
It was not in my no. That was not my focus. At that point, I was looking for money. At the Foreign Ministry, I happened to be part of a team that was sent to the conference center. And this was during the Liberia peace talk. But I remember sitting in the conference room one of the days, and then they were discussing, the Liberia conflict. And I was like, what atrocities? Who does this? Why do they kill people? And then I remember one day I went home, and I just couldn't sleep. And I'm like, surely something can be done. And so the following day, I went back to the conference center, and then I decided, let me listen a bit more keenly to what's going on. And I remember General Anokwino. He was the first ECOMOG force commander. So I remember I sat at the table with him during lunch, and so I started engaging him. And then he started telling me a bit more about, what was going on. And then I remember he said to me, "Oh, so what are you doing when you finish your national service?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to Levinia International Finance." And then he said to me, "Maybe you should think about doing something on conflicts." I was like, fast forward. I started off at Levinia, I think 2 months into the course. We were sitting in a class, and then this strong sense of unease came over me. And I said, "What is this?" And I started thinking about this whole conflict thing. And then it clicked. Suddenly I realized I never interrogated myself why I wanted to be a doctor. I just knew I wanted to be a doctor. But then I remember when I was thinking about it, I just was like, I'm uneasy because I feel like I should do something to help people. That was why I wanted to be a doctor. But if I'm not going to be a doctor, I can still help people, do through this other pathway. And that day, I remember I looked for the number for Mr. Kanga. I called him up. And then he gave me a few materials I read, and then I started. So I was doing this academically. I had no idea where my entry points were going to be. When I finished, I remember I was so exhausted with the entire process that the day I submitted my thesis, that very day, Obiama me loan, cry me the tickets to go to London. I just needed to rest. And so off I went that very day to London. And I remember while I was there, my husband, then we were not married, but we were dating. And I remember he said to me, oh, you know, when you were doing your master's, you had this organization, somebody sent you documents from that organization. Incidentally, General Quaino was a member of the board of International Alert, an NGO in the UK that I eventually worked with. And he got me into contact with some people who sent me materials for my thesis. So I called. And then when I called, there was a Ghanaian man who was there. He's currently Ghana's ambassador to Mali. Alert. Yes. Okay. So I remember I called him up. I said, thank you. He was like, oh, you should come and say hello to us. Reluctantly, I went in. And I remember when I went in, he introduced me to people, which was a practice, you know, of the organization. So when he introduced me to people, and then there was this old English man who was sitting there. And I was like, oh, you just finished your studies and you looked at conflict, I'm told. And I said, yes. And he was like, oh, you should come and work for us. I laughed.
Just like that.
Just like that. I laughed. And then I left. 3 days later, I was staying with a cousin of mine. I got home and then I went out. When I got back home, she said, oh, somebody called you. Called Ivan. I'm like, Ivan? The next day, the person called again and he introduced himself. He said, oh, when I came over to International Alert, he was one of those who met me. And that they're organizing a conference on Burundi and they would like me to come in and bring an academic perspective to the conversations. Now, this was because one of my case studies when I was doing my thesis was Burundi.
Okay.
So I went there just before the conference started. This old Englishman comes to me and says, oh, I'm told you studied French as well. Can you take the notes for us? The conference went on for 3 days. I took the notes, typed out everything, sent it to them. A week later, I get a call. It's like, oh, can you come into the office? So I go there. So when I get there, my boss, well, the guy who became my boss, looks at me and says, well, we got your notes. Very good, thank you. We had not planned to pay for this, but they were so good. We feel so bad. You spent so much time on it, so we want to pay you. But it's not in our budget, you know, so it's something very small.
How much was small?
And I'm like, I said, it's like, and he was like, I'm even embarrassed to tell you. It's just £300. I'm like,
when names open,
we can discuss. I said, no,
it's okay.
It's okay. And then as I was about to leave, he says to you, and you've been hired.
Wow.
I'm sitting there and I'm in shock. And I'm like, do I tell him that I'm not allowed to work and lose this opportunity, or do I keep quiet? And I said, you know what? My parents had taught me honesty. So I said to him, you know what? This is great, but I'm not allowed to work. I'm here on a holiday, you know, visit a tourist visa, and I'm not allowed to work. So no problem. We'll talk to our lawyers.
Hey.
Yes.
Please hold it there. Let me take a quick break, and I think it's a good time also to get to the Seed to Oak segment, because we, you know, as a Udiya Femwa from Ashasiena to middle ho baby, akakakrani you do end ho to where we are today. So I think it's a good time to link to our Seed to Oak segment, which is made possible by the Kel Kids toothpaste. Brushing time is always fun time now because it's strawberry flavored and it's easy for our children to brush their teeth. It's from 2 to 6 years and it's very safe and affordable also, and it is FDA approved. Seed to Oak for Mrs. Levinia Addae-Mensah. Please do stay. Would we call back to, I'll speak to our lawyers.
Yes.
And they did?
And yes, they went on money lawyers, Nico Kasaye. They got back to me after a week and almost say, well, because of the laws of the UK, I said, me started as an intern. And so I said, that's fine. Until me started as an intern, and I did the internship for 1 year. And during that internship, it was really God's hand. Because not just say my boss threw me, threw me in the deep end. Na ya started akwantu na ye call peace talks, you know, and the focus was Burundi. It is our time no na Burundi the war was on. Until no ye ba omodi ye nkrofo free Burundi ba and omo diaspora no, mostly omo exile. Bring them together around different cities in Europe, you know, to have the peace talks. And you know, I had to do these dialogue sessions. Until after 1 year and a half a year, I'm permanent. Well, it was a contract, but a staff, a full paid staff. Until now, ejumana dodwana na miyenwo Burundi, Rwanda, DRC. You know, but now me base here UK.
During the war.
Oh, during the war, yes. And those were some life-changing experiences for me.
When I was in Crawford, I'm so happy, sir, at least you lived some of these moments.
Yes, I did.
During that period. Maybe I was to me living some of the moments. Na ebia obi on TV the obi who be done. Until I say this is the situation, and is that what you're wishing for us as a country?
In fact, you don't want to wish it on anybody. Witness a year up till now, you know, it's by God's grace I've been able to overcome the trauma of it. But my dream where, you know, maybe and neighbor, and the village now woman got attacked. And we were all in the village, but yeah, no baby and I one now yes, Hono was a bit of a safe space. Into na me jina ho me tea say gunshots near there no. And I me share a window no when I saw people running. And I maybe didn't on an ember. Into no oh dwane. But small boy nigdi mami nechi in a omoko. The next thing I knew, mami not form. Because she had been shot. Into mami ne top form no. The fear on the small boy's face. Boy ni jina ho onhu so onko nenimo so inside nechi o jina ho onhu de oye. Just say me hwene me ra ho me say and ohwene maame no. And then somebody just came who was also running, just held the boy's hand and they just kept going. Whether the boy lived or not, I don't know. But we used to work with some of the homes that had all these children. They don't even know who their parents. One of the positives out of such situations is that people who survive it then try to support other people. Ain't no parents or real parents, and so they're just there. And you wake up in the morning sometimes and you hear things like, oh, there was an attack. You ask, how many people died? Oh, 10 people. Oh, not a big deal. 100 people, that's when it's news. But 10 people...
One too many.
One too many. One too many. When it starts, it doesn't stop. It gets to a point where it becomes so commonplace to say, a large number say once. We don't want to get there. 24, almost a quarter of a century down the line, they still don't have peace. They still don't have peace.
The addiction to the violence is still there.
It's still there. The culture of violence becomes so difficult to eradicate. And to break that cycle of violence is expensive.
Mami Mayendring, as we get into the 2024 elections, at least. This definitely me sure say so what dream I will say it was so election day with all the violence what's it from Mrs. Levinia Addae-Mensah. WANEAP there, kudam, peace and security issues. So what's it? There, a binimwa kumwa, when sure say you want that for Ghana. This is the PL show here on this channel. You want to stay? We're right back.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Levinia Addae-Mensah is a seasoned peace and security practitioner with 30 years of experience in conflict prevention, management, and peace support operations. Her passion for peace building has led her to work in volatile regions such as Rwanda, Burundi, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, and more, as well as in various capacities across several countries, including Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal. Levinia specializes in human rights, education, mediation, and capacity building, contributing to training programs throughout Africa and internationally. Notably, she served at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center as the first female director and initiated significant research programs across ECOWAS member states. Before her current role, Levinia was the programs director and deputy executive director at WANEAP, overseeing programs across all 15 ECOWAS member states.
Workshops are here now in a week. In a week. At least you're limited to a month.
Like I say, on average, types of workshop ABR one every month, but the number of days in the ABR be 3 to 5 in a month.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's 360 of Levinia Addae-Mensah, made possible by Kel 360 toothpaste. It gives you that long-lasting, fresh breath and minty breath all day. Very affordable and safe for use for the entire family. FDA approved with Kel is always a happy smile. Me per se, you're going to the bit about the advent of social media and the role that it particularly plays in you do almost fake news near their day on election day. All kinds of videos emerge, sometimes even Ghana, but people tend to post near their day. What should we be mindful of as we get into the election on the D-Day? The use of social media, even though but on a downside also. What should we be mindful of?
Social media has now become a very big part of our lives. And we depend on it for so many things. Why no baby? When announcing so behind him say no social media definitely we should expect to get more of the misinformation, disinformation, polarizing narratives, all those things that we put out there to create chaos. And again, we'll be starting to the level of preparedness. Where your scenarios are yashe. Now, for WANEAP, the little bit we are trying to do is as part of election process, usually in every country across West Africa, there's something we do which is the election situation room. And as part of the election situation room, we have experts who are in a physical space, who are working with monitors on the ground in various locations across the country. They collect information on different aspects. They've been trained based on sets of indicators of things to look out for and report on. Normal reporting in real time. And it includes reporting also information. It's information be online. they pick up all those as much as they can. They can't pick everything up, but as much as they can, they pick it up. Your partners and so you say media foundation me idea or more monitor. Into you pick it on your many you were a team of fact checkers. And that's all they do. Into your more 24/7 fact checking, working with other people near there. Into that's our own contribution to try and mitigate some of these things. Now, Mika said during election periods we have rights, but we also should remember that we have responsibilities. And some of the responsibilities, no, it's not just for buying and leaders in specific institutions who have those responsibilities, a collective responsibility, a shared responsibility. Into also as an individual now you have that responsibility as well. When your information, don't be quick to share it. Concern be and first you can make you some catch him with into first you can make you would dig catch be na yet ding. And you say ballot box be wo baby o ye ko baby wa wo kan no ubetumi aye hu bibia na so wo ka true be say nipa nye hu bibia. That's fine. If it's to share the information just to do concern information share, you're not being responsible enough because you don't have what it takes to verify that information. And even if you did, what would sharing it mean? Would it translate to the problem being addressed? If not, don't.
Okay.
I think that will help.
So one who say nyako konsankwa no media, but at least how they can also leverage for peace building. At least the same youth, and then on to ensure say even though they are using it for other things, how they can also maximize it in terms of the use of peace building.
One of the things I'm happy to talk about is Siano. You say first in Kayuta, you almost always or entirely in a negative light. Into you become the role of youth in violence, youth and political violence, youth and all kinds of issues around criminality near there. But since UN4 introduced this resolution 2250, which is one of the landmark documents that provides an opportunity for engaging youth, it talks about the need to engage youth. Abua, we've seen that over the last few years, it's helped us identify that youth don't only have a negative agency, they have a lot of positive agency. And we've seen experiences from various countries. And we've had an opportunity to bring all these youth together. Earlier this year, WANEAP, ECHO was for the youth from all over West Africa together to look at, the role of youth, specifically in using technology. Okay. We saw how, many youth in different countries some of the experiences of using technology and around the issue of social media, and we were able to share those experiences even with the Ghanaians who were in the room. And we saw that, in fact, it was really encouraging to see, a lot of young people are taking the initiative, taking on that responsibility of trying to clear that space of misinformation, disinformation. Once I make us a fact checking, he said, there are a group of young people. And we've seen that there are many other young people. There's the Youth for Peace networks created by the African Union and ECOWAS. And Ghana, there's a Youth for Peace network who's been working very actively to address some of these issues. And they are doing a lot of peer-to-peer learning and experience sharing. And I think that is one of the positive things. And it's important, youth also to continue to, harness their capacities and leverage on their agency. A lot of information, say yankasano you more as positive, to act out positively. I think in this election, a lot of the monitors that are out there near the youth, and youth are bringing a lot of contribution to it. My hope and prayer is say elections na free or more. The promises that we during the election period, most of the time, free or more kakra. Because election did make any event. Into 7 December, it is not the event. It is an entire process. The next one, 2028, 7 December 2028, starts 8 December 2024. Inti na ya na say ye wi fi na yakotena sia do baby ansa ya kan omo. Inti for me youth are critical, and I've seen over the years that I've worked, almost 30 years here my age I've seen how youth contribute positively to peace building, and I'm happy say at least Ghana say National Youth Authority is developing the action plan for the resolution 2250, and I'm hoping so that it's much more institutionalized, our approach to engaging young people. Now say ad hoc. So really let's capture all these experiences and then put them into a frame that is much more institutionalized and sustainable.
I'm wondering if there's a particular skill that you need to be able to go into peace and security.
In my experience, me who say you don't necessarily need specific peace building field Abeye very wide. Abeye, intertwined with development, human rights, it's become so intertwined. The intersectionality is not dorsal. You can use varied skills. Especially when it comes to the youth. We work with youth who are in the film industry. We need them to help to do skits near there. I'm traveling in a few days' time, and one of the people I'm traveling with, a midwife. She's from the medical field, but she's also able to bring a contribution to peace building, particularly when it comes to the youth factor. It's about how to engage and the young people and bring out their positive agency. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. To say one of your programs any motor riders, Okada riders, any young farmers, and any omoye. And shut down it cuts across. It's about creating the right environment. My youth nankasano, who say I can bring something positive. I'm not just negative. Some of the skills are wow, and those are generally, you can categorize them as part of general life skills. It's about relationship building. It's how to engage, relationship. Build on your communication skills. And also here, Papa, because the good communication skills facilitates relationship building. You are asking people to change behaviors from negative or violent behaviors to non-violent behaviors. How do you engage people if you can't build a relationship with them? Because it's about engaging people to shift. Obi a waye bibi for a long time. And yes, I will be Johnny in the say, yes, I didn't know yes, someone is buying. And yes, and what baby Jamie says, I didn't know you've judged me. And I just said, now, Ukrano, I say, me and I say, who is a me? And they are also be defensive and keeping that. So whether we are working with criminals, whether you're working with Galam Sefo, it's about how you're able to build relationships with them. And young people especially, who say omunya good communication skills and good relationship building skills it's easier for them to engage their peers and get them to, sort of change their attitudes and behaviors.
Well, following you over the period, I wonder, say, what's minya time so wow in terms of the family and everything, because I'm going to my DIY segment. I'm itching to know what it is that you'll be doing or what you get to do for yourself in spite of all the busy schedules. How you combine everything is what we would want to know.
And yeah, easy. That one I have to say. But one of the things I learned in life, they say, nobody promised you that life was easy. Nobody. Nyanko Ponkra one promises her. It's the Bible, no baby.
My son, no dada.
And dada. Maybe anyone Nyanko Ponkra say life will be easy. In fact, from a Christian point of view, and I'm a Christian, which the Bible no more. baby, I know what you also see. When you go through the waters, I will be with you. When you go through deep waters, when you go through the fire, I just say we are saying. But one of the things that has helped for me is having helpers around you. It goes back to relationship building. It goes back to how are you positioning yourself to get help. You can't do this if you don't have help. Menono abuami. And the help from different angles. One of the biggest helps for me has come from my family. I've been blessed to have sisters, one particular sister who's in Ghana with me, who's always been there. My parents-in-law, my mother, thank God she's still alive. And my husband, that make us say, we can say behind every successful man is a woman. Well, behind every successful woman is a man who's committed. Even if it's not your husband, it could be a man somewhere, because unfortunately, no, we say it's a man's world. Truly, it is. So there have to be men who help you. And that facilitates, that's the reality. It shouldn't be the case, but that's what happens. In Temeno, my husband is also very busy, but he's always been prepared to allow me to grow in my career and sacrifice. And he calls himself the #1 motherless father in the world. When I'm not there, he plays the role of mother as well. That helps.
And the DIY is made possible by Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. My name is Levinia Addae-Mensah that a big account. Me sure say the body tray, the ball, a charcoal mu, the say. Okay, and you don't have to go through that anymore. Kel Charcoal is making it possible for you to still get that effect, that white teeth and fresh breath and great smile. Is a Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, is the DIY segment. Please do stay here on the PL Show.
Welcome to my DIY session. For my DIY session, I'm doing one of the things that I try to do to de-stress, which is painting. And one of the things that I like to do in my painting is abstract painting. Today, I'm going to be using 2 of my favorite colors. That's green, and then I also have orange. And then I have a set of brushes here. So we're going to mix different shades of green. And as I said, it's abstract, so I just go. I just go. Okay, let's pause on the green for now. And let's begin to do the orange. Now, what we are going to do with the orange is a technique that I learned from one of my favorite artists. She's a Ghanaian. Actually, she's my cousin. She's called Betty Aqua. She's the #1 female artist in Ghana. So she uses a technique called pointillism. So I'm trying to learn from her. It's just all about creating dots. I'll tell you what, since I like gardening, perhaps I should try to draw a tree. Let's do our branches. So, this is the painting. In fact, it's more of doodling that I did. The idea here is, started out with abstract, and that's the way I do my painting. Usually I have no idea what I'm doing. So I just start out with something abstract. It's about creativity. It's about loving and having a passion for everything you do. It's important.
It's painting now, painting, no to one say.
Oh, that mean Drew Picasso level.
Wait, say you say Drew Picasso.
Mean Drew Picasso level. So it's just for fun. In fact, it's more of doodling, I call it. But in kakran bigusu. Interestingly, me boy no na ya. Onu mom is quite good in
wow.
Yeah, no church me kakran.
There's a young girl out there who always watches the PL show and gets inspired by stories like yours. Maybe briefly, but social camera and speak directly to that young girl or that young boy out there watching and who want to have that clear path.
Well, to young girls and young boys, or more bar, but we may a bit biased towards the girls because meaning some journey, is much more difficult. Like I always say there are many ups and downs. And when you fall, as they say, it's not the falling that is the problem. It's your ability to get up and move on. Inti no ube share nyoma bebre, but da me ka say, well, wu nyin no, wu ko wenim no, focus on who you want to become at every point, Bisa who say, who am I? Where are my weaknesses? What can I improve on? Me ankasa no. Mwabe na mi here. Inti at every point ye fire hu jina position na ebe to me ama nkrofon so be pese omo be boaye. Inti no me nya wo hu say me de sa na mete, attitude emboa. I think it's important to open up oneself and constantly do introspection, bro. Ni be say, bisa who say, we misuba ina ti say ni ade, obi ma feedback, I ma obu mfu, de hwe na fa ko wenim. Me no, me to me nyame adom, mako menim. On 2 different occasions, I've become the first female to occupy a certain position. Well, and yet, obiana, etumi enyane saa. But me feel says I know my way no abwame. It's important say that baby sound questions. Obi ma feedback wo de eje. Feedback be a baby no. Ebi wo ho wo didi watem. But atem didi nimu no wobetumi esua baby wom. Da fa wo hu gina baby a adesua nye wo priority. Learn and learn and learn.
Election day ya kan bebre but yent me wrap up so yentimi ma election message.
Yeah, nyame adom no Ghana ya fa elections a number of times ya call your 9th election. E kro binu me nyane saa. Nti uma yenhwe eho na yen kanche ye ho say nyame adom no baby a yetumi edru ni. Enoma enkoye senkra na ye chen baby bebre. Nti uma yen dwen no ho na baby a ye beye bia no yen kai say enya aban pe ene isi ene soldier for ne police from penkwana. Eye omo djuma ena asa omo responsibility so mbo bema baby akoso ye yen kasa nso. Ye kese ye betu ye otumi a ye betumi enye da na se ye kum bibia ho enye da na se ye di ebufuo ye bibi ebufuo ne ye di bibia emboa ye ntini ye nka ye no na ye nkoto aba no na ye nto no asomdwe mu na ye nhwe ye nya abotre na ye ma omo a mbeba be ka chen se si na ko ye na ko anansa ko se anansa ko se na omo akasa omo nya omo edwuma no
pure show de yuba ye nya okwa. There are 2 key things that I need to go through with you, and this is from the team to you. And Kel Kids toothpaste womb, Kel 360 womb, Kel charcoal womb. Yes, also aroma insecticide. There was Sasu mosquito coil. It will need be womb just for you. Now, more importantly, also you are a queen that deserves to be celebrated.
Oh, wow!
So this is from us to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And once you talked about communication, we'll wrap it up. It's me signing out now.
So you've been watching the PL show. Thank you so much for watching the show and listening to my story. I hope you've enjoyed it and you will learn something out of it. Enjoy your time. Go out and vote peacefully. And Merry Christmas in advance to all of us. God bless us all.
Yes, Christmas come early though. Thank you so much, Madam Levinia. We're indeed grateful. And the Kel Toothpaste PL show is always made possible by Kel 360, Kel Charcoal, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. I am Emefa Apawu. Another exciting edition comes your way same time right here on this channel. Don't forget to log on to all our social media platforms, like, and share. Have a good day.